2015, which was pretty cool because the pandemic hit in that time frame since then, and we kept going through that virtually and back in person. Thank you to the Code co-working space, Code-based co-working, for hosting us back in a live environment. And this event is put on by a number of organizations. CEMIC, Charlottesville Business, a lot of acronyms coming your way, right? Charlottesville Business Innovation Council, CIC Community Investment Collaborative, the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and then we are sponsored by Biden Institute, AUBA, Code-based co-working, Watermark Design. So a number of organizations come together to pull this off, and we love that you're here. I want you to bring your friends. It's open to the public, and we have a lot of entrepreneur-minded people, which I'm assuming you guys are. But every month what we do is we have two speakers. We have an early stage speaker, which shares about their company, and then they then ask for the audience. And so it's actually your opportunity to help them go to the next level in their business. And then we have a seasoned entrepreneur, which shares their crash and learn stories. So stories, lessons learned the hard way in entrepreneurship, and no matter your background, I find it's always, you can always get something from that. So we can go ahead and get started, and then we close with announcements, so we'll get to that later. But I wanted to start with our early stage speaker, Richard Sawyer, a little bit of his background and his company, Rutabaga.ai, which he'll get into. But he grew up in Southern California, got his bachelor's, a double major in computer engineering and electrical engineering, graduated summa cum laude with those. This is a smart guy, okay? Got his master's in computer engineering from NC State as well, so all of that was from NC State. Then he worked as a software engineer for IBM, Sony, GE, a number of other companies, and then eventually started his own company, co-founded Link Labs in Annapolis. And he was the CTO there, and then eventually came to Charlottesville to work for Ever Active, which is here in town. He was VP of engineering, and recently is making this transition to this company, which he's also now a second company that he's starting. So help me welcome Richard Sawyer.
Second. All right, yes, as Hope said, my name is Richard Sawyer, and I'm here today to talk about my early stage startup company, Rutabaga.ai. So Rutabaga collects all the best available data and information and uses artificial intelligence to help inform businesses when they're choosing their next location or the first time they're opening the shop. And so I thought I'd tell a story about the previous venture that inspired Rutabaga. So once upon a time, a few years ago, I proposed to my sister that she open a restaurant. My sister is a couple years younger, and she's been in the restaurant business her entire career, and she's really good at it. And I really admire her dedication and the energy. And she's one of those people that shows up to work and just motivates everyone around her. And I was like, hey, I'll help you get started. I'll fund it, and you can do the same job that you're already really good at, and you can take home more of the profit. And so we actually settled on modeling after a grinder shop in our hometown of Southern California. Had the best bread. The restaurant was going to be all about the bread. And my sister went about reproducing that. We filled her apartment with proof ovens and commercial grade equipment. And everything was going really well. And then we got to the point where, okay, let's find the location where my sister lives. And so we got a real estate agent, there were lots available. We were driving around, and we just came to realize while my sister was really great at running other people's restaurants, this was the first time she was choosing a location, and she wasn't the expert. You can't really be the expert at everything. And that's what inspired me to Rutabaga, was to go out there and help people like my sister in that same situation, to gather data. And so the next thing that I did was I talked to some of her previous employers. They were really easy to access, and they owned dozens of franchise businesses. And it was their job to go and find the next location. And what I learned was that the process is very manual. These folks that I talked to, they went to the different locations. They were physically counting cars at intersections, themselves. They were coming at different times of day to test traffic, calling the post office. Anyway, I'm collecting a ton of information. It's an amazing volume of work for people who are already very busy running their own businesses and being experts in the domain. I actually ran a campaign. I identified the 10 highest, fastest growing restaurant markets in the United States. I made a list of all those restaurants, I started making calls, I actually working a whole lot of them, and they confirmed that there's this need for this kind of data. So the other thing that's exciting about this opportunity is that now there's more data available than ever before. Census Bureau maintains hundreds of free data sets that anyone can access. And machine learning is, kind of booming, and it's actually rather abstract to think about all the data that's available, just fast. So the analogy that I think of is that machine learning and plants are kind of level. Plants need sunlight and water and nutrients to grow, and they adapt to their environment. They reach out for water or sunlight, and machine learning needs data, and it needs data to adapt and make predictions and find patterns. So we're just in this world where there's an unprecedented amount of data available for machine learning. So that gives me a lot of belief we have a market and have sort of this unique time and opportunity where there's
come on.
And the next sort of nagging question was like, brick and mortar at this time in the world is kind of dying, right? E-commerce is booming, AWS, we're all likely Prime subscribers, we're ordering more and more things online. So I started to do some more research into that. And actually on this chart, I'm going to show the last 8 to 10 years worth of data from one of the US Census Bureau data sets. And so actually what's interesting is that for a long time, e-commerce has been growing at a faster rate than brick and mortar. But just in the last 2 or 3 years since COVID, brick and mortar is actually growing at a faster rate than e-commerce for the first time ever. And so that gives me a lot of confidence that there's a need and there's a market that's growing to address. The other thing that gives me a lot of confidence is that certain businesses depend on experiences. So I'm a father of 3. This is my youngest son here. He's at the local trampoline park that some of you may have visited. That's the place that we go for play dates and rainy days and birthday parties. And you can just see the smile on his face. He's gone to this location to literally bounce around in the same little circle for an hour. And he loved it, and it brings us all a lot of joy to see his face. The other thing that gives me a lot of confidence is that you can also look at the data for just the total volume of revenue that comes from retail. And the Census Bureau breaks it down between e-commerce and brick and mortar. The purple part of this graph is the brick and mortar, because it's the lion's share, even with the rapid growth of e-commerce, because it started small. It looks like it's obviously growing, but it's not the biggest portion of revenue in the States. All right, so that's where I am. I have a market. I have customers that are interested that we want to serve. The next steps right now are to build a prototype and to set it up so that it's self-service for businesses to come, enter addresses. And then once I have that prototype, I want to test that same set of people that I've talked to who said this is great. I want to see are they willing to pay for it, and what would that price be? Looking at subscription services, the folks that own multiple restaurants, they want to compare their best performing restaurants to the potential new sites. So that leads just last before I wrap up a little bit more about me. So I have, as folks said, I've been a VP of engineering at Interactive for about 5 years now. That recently ended, but while I was there, I grew the team from 5 software developers to 30, which was just a wonderful experience. I've been in the boardroom with investors and just learned a ton working at Interactive. And before that, I started my own company and had that experience of getting the initial funding, hiring the first set of developers. So I'm hoping to do that again. And so my ask for today is, right now the team is me. That's one person. I haven't had the advantage or opportunity to raise money yet. I'm kind of on the cusp of that. So the question is, when should I do that scale? And should I look first for a co-founder, or should I just go, just remain a sole founder and go immediately to hiring the first set of developers? So I'd love to hear any advice or experience that you have in sense of.
And I have a mic here for anyone that has helped him with this question.
Yeah, so right now I'm focused on the restaurant market. That was just to find the sort of atomic unit that I could put all my energy into. But the product should apply to any business that, has a brick and mortar location, either the first one or looking to expand. I really like the franchise set of folks because they're sort of in the business of constantly growing and expanding to new locations. So you asked, like, what it makes us to focus on real estate, like opposed to build the shopping centers or on locations, economic development. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I focused on the restaurant owners because that is the most easily accessible. But yeah, I love it. I think, the advantage of those folks is you will help them, identify where to put your shopping centers.
I have another question. What is the actual service of product we're selling?
It's the data. So it's doing all the hard work that they were doing manually. I'm basically using APIs and artificial intelligence. They don't need to go and count the number of people in the competitive shops next door. You can buy data sets of foot traffic in there. You can look at the traffic patterns from Google Maps. You can compile all that. Like there are pizza.
So kind of similar, I don't know if you're familiar, Carfax, they sell databases to police stations and police departments to understand vehicle or accidents, right?
I love that example. I would love to be the Carfax of a real estate location. Right? You wouldn't lease your first location without getting my report. You wouldn't buy a new car or a used car without getting a car. Right. Okay, great.
Any thoughts on his co-founder question?
So you mentioned the two previous experiences, relate a little bit of in the area of business development, that outward facing external aspect to it, how you have experienced that yourself or how you have experienced individuals in that role. Because I think that kind of leads to the team members or co-founder, as far as the passion that you have for that aspect.
Right, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I'm not a salesperson. that's not my passion. We consider that one of my weaknesses right now. So that would be a good reason to try to find a co-founder who has that experience. Most of my experience have been, in meeting the customer for the first time. So like when I started Link Labs, we had a gentleman who worked at Stanley Black & Decker. We just found us on a Google search, and so. That was sort of the initial customer contact, but it was a very technical conversation. And in this case, I think, a big part of it is going to be making sure that people who are opening their first restaurant or, in that role at a franchise business, how are they going to find food and know about that? So I think, what I've done so far is I've made a list of all the interesting conferences where folks like that show up. All the folks that I've talked to have been joining up and try to expand on that. Yeah, so that could be a motivation to get a co-founder versus hiring a salesperson.
Hi, Teresa Green, CBEC Michelle, Selling Director. Have you gone through the ICAP program? That is the exact exercise that you'll go through in the ICAP program to determine who your customer is, what they want and what they say. So you have a really great solution. You need to find out now if that's the solution that they're looking for.
Right.
And also you have a tier, you have a freemium and a premium. Does that model make sense? Is it the right incentives for them to come in at that free model and then upscale to the premium model? So I would highly encourage you to go to the ICAP program, which is offered by the SBDC.
Hi, Sharon over here. Talk to me afterwards about ICAP, which for anyone else in the room, it's the Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program. Very impressed, I remember that. It is through the Virginia SBDC network. A lot of customer discovery work, fantastic program. If anyone has questions, come talk to me afterwards. And there's more info on our website.
And the other question is about when to scale and when to bringing a co-founder potentially. One question I have for you is, what do you want for this company? What is your personal objective?
I think it's to make money right now. I'm much more interested in making money than like owning the leadership of it or the focus. I don't need control. I'm more interested in making a product that people want to buy.
Sounds good.
Hi, I actually will offer an answer to a co-founder of team member that I could hear on the previous gathering from a gentleman who was on the second section. So his experience and his suggestion for this type of situation was find somebody that you enter in some sort of a trial agreement. And if you guys find that you work well together and you want to stay, then you have like exit strategy to become founders.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more. Is there one more?
So I don't know if I can answer that question, but it resonated at the similar challenge. And when I first started my company, I was working with an SBDC mentor, and I kind of said what you said, like, oh, so I'm an educator. I was like, I want to build this education solution. I'm not really a salesperson, and they practically laughed themselves out of the chair. And they're like, if you're not a salesperson, you can start a business. That is what you do. Is you sell it, and then you bring other people along when you show that you can sell it. And so I kind of went that approach, and then I'm now at a point where when you have a business that you have clients and you're running and you've developed a lot, then to bring in like a co-founder is hard because you already have a lot established. So then I'm actually going through the process of fundraising now so that I can hire people. So that was kind of the route that I went. And I think that to find somebody before you start as a co-founder, it's possible, but you have to really get somebody else that they're like, hey, I'm going to work full time on your idea. So I was never able to figure out how to do that without offering to pay somebody. But if you know somebody already who kind of has a passion for the other side of what we're looking to do, then to me that's how you find a co-founder. I don't know if I tried some of these like co-founder matchmaking sites, and I never really got too much results from those. So I don't know if that's
What was an example of one of those websites?
I don't even remember. There was, I don't know, just put in like find a co-founder, and there were a bunch of different sites. And you put your profile up, and other people have their profiles. And just a lot of spam, honestly. It was not my experience, but not that would be a risk.
Yeah, thank you. Great advice. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate all the
Oh, sorry.
feedback. One more question.
Yeah, so I know next to nothing, but in the retail world, I know that it's much easier to get a repeat customer than a new customer. And so with the subscription service, would you be targeting franchises that are definitely going to be opening multiple locations, or are you targeting people who are opening one location because then it's kind of just like a one-time use situation? So
I was also hoping, so the third example would be someone who just wants to see how their current location is performing. And so what part of that information is helping them to drive their performance of their business. Right, actually,
Awesome, thank you.
one last ask for me. I'm also looking for anyone in your network who I can talk to and learn more about what the customer wants. Just email me at Richard@Rutabaga.ai.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
First request.
That's right.
Well,
You're so
Great, so that's selling.
yeah.
good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good.
All right, so. Great, I'm going to introduce our crash and learn. We call it crash and learn, not crash and burn, by the way. We always learn here. Murry Pitts, let me give you a little bit of his background. He grew up in the Norfolk area. He got his bachelor's from OU and went in the direction of business after that. He's actually now a vice director of the board and on the board of visitors there. He worked for United States Lines, which is a container shipping company, for 7 years after college before entering the paperboard carton business. By the age of 30, he acquired his first business, Held Paper Box in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And 8 years later, bought another company, merged them together, and called that new company Carded Graphics LLC in Stanton. So that's actually what brought him into this area of the States. He sold that company in 2015 to Graphic Packaging International, stayed with the company as VP of Sales and Operations for the Eastern region for a year, and then became the CEO of the Swiss converting machine manufacturer. He retired briefly, but then started working in the private equity space, and for a firm including one that co-owns Bernie's Medical and Murry products. He continues to work in the private equity space and as an operating partner for a number of companies in the area. You may be familiar with some of them. He's also a big player in the commercial and residential space here in both Charlottesville and Richmond. He has 2 daughters. They're both in the medical field. One's a surgeon, the other's a medical device sales. And so very excited to hear some of your stories, Murry. He's very involved in the entrepreneur community, by the way, involved in the iLab. Jason Brewster actually had recommended that he speak, which is great, and so we're excited to hear from you. So let me welcome Murry Pitts.
Oh, what's up, buddy? Can you hear me without this thing?
No, well, if you don't.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I'm very white voice. Good morning. My name is Murry Pitts. I have quite a history of entrepreneurship and different companies, and I appreciate the time to share with you guys this morning. Graduated from Old Dominion, like she said. I went to work for a guy named Malcolm McLean. Malcolm actually invented the container that goes on the show. He had a company called McLean Trucking, and he actually invented that container, believe it or not. I didn't even think anybody would ever invent something like that. He was a big time entrepreneur, and 5 U.S. flag companies. I got a lot of experience from it. I ended up running his European service in the late 80s, I hate to say the late 80s. And then I decided I could do it myself. So I went and bought a packaging company. I knew nothing about packaging, manufacturing, or anything about printing, or anything that had to do with packaging. But, you know, on day one, we had to make payroll. You learn really quick. So I bought the company. We grew it many, many years. We're in food, beverage, retail packaging, just a whole host of array of packaging. I bought a company in Stanton, Virginia called Carded Graphics, and I owned a company that was in Elizabeth City that really was underperforming, and the company I bought was underperforming, so I put 2 losers together, and I swore it was going to be a winner. And at the beginning, it was not, and we started to build it up. And one day, a light bulb went out from my head, and I said, you know what, I got to go all in with this thing. And I decided to be the most modern folding carton operation. Folding cartons will recognize what I'm going to tell you is we became the craft beer guy for all the craft breweries in the country. And we went from, we probably tripled our business over 3 years during that big rise of the craft breweries. That we rode that trend. And in 2015, we were selling against the really big guys that did ABI and Miller Coors and all the paperboard 6-pack carriers, and they couldn't figure out how to do the craft beer guys. What it was all about was speed to market. And speed to market in the packaging business really became the trend that we were able to do. And we became the best printer, the best special effects guy, and graphic packaging came and they bought me. I worked for them for about 1.5 years, and I decided that corporate America was not my thing. And then I made that even more corporate decision to go be the CEO of the largest Swiss company in the packaging field. And talk about corporate, that was, I don't even know where to go with that. So I've had a really interesting career. I've been involved in real estate in Charlottesville, Richmond, and Norfolk for many years, both commercially and residentially. I own a bunch of stuff here and have played in that business. I've tried to retire. It didn't work for me. And, I even the other day built a car wash in Science Crossroads. Any of you guys live out there and get a car wash. So I've always kind of done things that I don't know a lot about, but I do my research and, I just hold my nose and think that it's going to turn out the right way and just kind of make it happen. So I guess, what are the lessons? I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that you have to pivot, no matter what you're doing. Whatever you think you're going to do, you're not going to do. And whatever you start is not going to be where it ends. And the story during the whole process just kind of goes like this. So what I've learned, whatever can happen will, and it's normally bad, good, bad, good. So I think that a lot of entrepreneurs think they're going to be this guy and this company, and we're going to go this way, and they don't pay attention to their biggest opportunity, which is their existing customer base. So where I was the most successful through my whole career was that I would take a company and we'd be doing business with them on, let's just call it, we were making a product for them. And then what we would do is we would solve other problems for them. So an example of that is inkjet printer used to be $800 when it first came out. And the paper mills didn't have any solution to be able to support the small growth of inkjet printers. Now we all know now that inkjet printers are nothing, and the whole business model is the ink cartridges, right? But in the early 90s, it was $800 and nobody could figure it out. And we were making all the packaging for Union Camp in that space. And all of a sudden one day they said, we can't distribute to the retailer because we don't have EDI. And that's a problem that most of the paper mills has. So I said, listen, we can build you a warehouse and we can do your EDI. So we became the largest distributor of paper products for paper mills in the US for about 5 years. Hence another lesson that I learned. You can't have too big a customer to take your percentage of pie. So you want to have one customer that you're depending on, and that is a very large percentage of your business. A lot of studies about that, and customer mitigation is much better than customer concentration. And we have a big customer like that. So I learned the hard way once that whole trend started. We could do it themselves. So learn that. The selling begins when the customer says no. I think that's a really important thing to understand, that they have to keep asking until somebody says no. And when they say no, the next question is why? Because that gets the conversation started. Let's see, what other things? Protect your credit, because banking relationships are the most important thing that you can have long-term as you grow your businesses. It's so important to protect your credit. Now, I know a lot of people don't think that way, but ultimately that's what the banks are all about. Let's see, what other big issues that I had? Employees have been interesting. I think I've heard everything up to this point, but every day I hear something different. So it's been interesting to try to build my business on eliminating employee interaction with manufacturing, this is the whole world of manufacturing. I was trying to go that way. So I got a lot of stories I could tell, but I'll open it up for questions.
All right, thank you. I'm sure some of those lessons learned, you have stories behind how you learned them.
Okay.
But does anyone have any questions, anything you want to elaborate on, or discussions in general?
Investors, bring on investors.
Having brought on, did you?
No, so I was always a scale guy. I wanted to be able to scale. I never wanted to be in a business I couldn't scale. I just been so averse to that because I didn't want to be capped at what I could do. And that's also, I wasn't a big investor guy, I never had investors, but I came to a different banking time too. The banking time then was relationship and you get the money. Do what you say, you get the money, and you can keep growing your business and you can get the money. But today, it's a whole different set of issues. But I never brought in investors, I never like to lose control, I never did. And I was very lucky in that respect. But investors are important when they're like-minded, especially today.
You might have said this, what about co-founders?
No co-founders.
For the same reason.
Yeah, same thing, man. Kind of like to go out on my own. I was also, it's gonna sound bad, but I didn't care how many zeros that I had to borrow because, in my mind, it was the same chord if I went bankrupt. So if I was going bankrupt, if it was 5 zeros or 10 zeros, it's still the same chord. So I was always kind of highly leveraged because it was a business that, printing press was $7 million. So you needed 4 printing presses and all this other stuff behind it to make a carbon plant. So I was always kind of risk averse. I never really. And I also listened to the customer. We were talking about that earlier. The big companies in our industry would buy equipment so they can augment their production, so they can, just get their capacity up. But if you're listening to your customer, I would pre-buy something and sell into it because that's what my customer wanted. So we were able to take advantage of me being more commercially oriented and manufacturing oriented. And we were able to take advantage of trends much quicker than the really big dudes.
All right, questions for?
You said that the driving force in the industry become first to market. That's going for lots of industries. What did you guys have to do to beat out the big guys? Why couldn't they do that?
So the big guys in our industry actually own the trees. So they made the boxes for Kellogg's and Mars, all these really big guys. The way that any small company competes against the larger guys that are the gorillas in the industry is not only first to market, but more importantly, is speed to market. Because the big guys can't get out of their own way. They're focused on really large, and this is every industry, this is just the packaging business. They're focused on their core business, and it's normally the biggest of the big. The way the independent, smaller companies compete is speed, quality, and at a higher price, actually. You would think that it would be all price driven, but it's not, because in most industries where there are dominant players like that, there's opportunity for quick speed because that's what the customer wants. They want innovation, they want speed, they want it quick, they want good quality, and if you can beat it to market, then you're going to win every time. Our industry is packaging space. It's food, beverage, pharma, cosmetics, all these different. When you go in the grocery store, every box you see is what we did. Is dominated. It's 70% controlled by 2 companies in the U.S. So it's really highly concentrated with two guys. And they own the trees and the big mills. So it was a highly competitive business. So the ROI and the purpose, it's hard to get a lot of times. Yes.
How did you get to market faster? Could you go a little bit more into how you went quicker and more nimble to get to market quicker?
Yeah, sure. So in this industry, we actually had to buy paperboard from those big guys, because there's no players. So we were able to, specifically, matter of fact, there's 6 factory carriers. The paperboard is a good example, is that the lead time from the really big players to all the craft breweries in the country was somewhere between 8 and 10 weeks. So can you imagine a brewer brewing beer and can't get the 6-pack carriers for 6, 8, 10 weeks? And that's from the big guys. So we identified a niche that if I bought 2 pieces of equipment that actually folded it and glued it, then we could take that lead time from 10 weeks to 2.5 weeks. So if you walked into a brewery and said, listen, we can give you a better quality product, 2.5 weeks, I mean, it's like taking candy from the baby. And that's why we reached so quick. I mean, we made, my first customer, I was doing a gardening class. I teach a garden every year, some stuff. And this guy named Hayes Humphreys was sitting in the audience at the meeting. And Hayes was just hired at Bell's Background. And he said, Murry, listen, can you make our 6-pack beer carriers? And the first year he couldn't make them. Maybe I went and borrowed a machine to be able to do it. It didn't work. Next year, he gave us all his business. We made 1 million beer carriers that year, 1 million of them. The second year, once we got the equipment, the real equipment, we did 300 million of them the next year. And we ended up doing almost 1 billion of them for, I mean, 5,000 to this guy, 50,000 to that guy, and it just grew crazy because there was no competition in that. So, identified a niche and then took it and ran with it and be committed about it. So, that's kind of another life lesson, right? I know it's going to work, and I'm going to go all in and do it because you can see it. When it works, it's good. When it doesn't, it's tougher. But for the most part, I think that's what all of us can try to do. So we know it'll work. You just gotta go all in and make it happen. And give good advice. I mean, I was a little bit of a rodeo player. I wasn't the model business 101 thing. That's the thing when I do this garden thing. It's like everybody in the room's jaws going like this because it's a case study class, and they're all going, "Why would you have done that?" I mean, like, what could have possessed you to do this? So it's not a great financial case study, but it's a great story. It was a wild ride.
When you were doing the beer carriers, were there other products, or that was the only product you were doing?
No, we were doing a lot of it. Like we did Hollister, is ostomy over in Verona, believe it or not, it's the world's largest. We had medical packaging, food pack, Hershey's, we did all the Hershey kiss boxes and all that stuff. So we had a nice group of customers, and we didn't have one big one, which was great. Also got a lot of business from my competitors. So the one thing that you might want to think about too is, and you always hear this, stay close to your competitors and be nice to them, because literally between the 2 big guys, I used to have to hide stuff, and the other guy came in because we were doing so much work for him. So there's always opportunity. Anything else?
What's your biggest failure?
My biggest failure?
What's your biggest failure and how did you get out of it?
My biggest failure was that when I lost Union Camp for International Papers business, it was in essence half my business. And I was sitting down in Elizabeth City going, this is going to work. And I bought Cardiographics up in Stanton. I said, that ain't going to work either, but I went ahead and did it. And I just figured that Elizabeth City was a really bad place, and to run a manufacturing company in Stanton was a really good place. But the dynamics were just insane. And it came to a point where I had to sell the building in Elizabeth City to make this whole thing work. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I put a sign out on the road of Louisville Highway, and Food Line came, and they decided they wanted to knock it down and build a food line on the space. And I said, I'm out. And it happened like that. Because BB&T, they were ready. They were doing all the deal for me. It was a tough sale. But it happened. That's it. Yeah.
would love for you to expand a little bit on your comment about, with employees and the interaction and the movement away. I'm assuming you're talking about automation and then your inherent confidence that what you needed that you could succeed in this. How did you pass that to your teams, you know, in that same area of culture and personnel?
Sure, well, number one is I didn't have founder syndrome. And founder syndrome is a thing that, you know, you always hold on to everything that you never let people do. I built a great team. Every time I couldn't get to the next point, I hired somebody to do it, and I built people around me. And my management team and my executive staff are always incredible people. I didn't want to do a lot of work, and I was not the smartest guy in the room. I was just the kind of guy that come up with the ideas, so to be honest with you. I had really good. My people comment really comes from the automation side. I mean, we were throwing people at it, but when we became the most profitable, we were augmenting the people with technology. And as we grew, we were able to acquire more and more technology, which took people out of it, but it just kind of redirected them in a different talent area. So I was always an automation guy that was ahead of getting ahead of that, because it's tough hiring people now.
Where do you see that? Because that was,
Where do I see it?
10 years ago. So what do you see
Right now? Yeah, it's worse now. I mean, worse than ever. I mean, we just bought one of my private equity partners. We just bought a company in Chicago that's highly people oriented, and across all industries right now, certainly in manufacturing, there's just no people. Nobody wants to do it, and the jobs are good. They're good paying jobs. I mean, this is something I've been preaching for years, that manufacturing jobs are quite high paying, really, in the real trades. So, you know, it's more concentration on employees' lifestyle. I mean, we have to pay more, we have to give more, and we have to do more across the whole spectrum, top to bottom. And it's a changing environment with the younger employees. It's a whole different, you know, I'm not saying that in a critical way, I'm saying you have to appeal to them in a different way. And it's a way that I've never seen before. And you have to be very flexible, which means you have to have more technology, you have to be able to cater to different needs these days, and it's too bad, and there's really no answer. You just gotta be cool. If you're a cool company, you're gonna make it happen, and you gotta stay cool.
There you go.
Yes. So it's hot now.
Let's pretend we're at Darden and Ferdinand here. I'm going to ask you a Darden type question.
Oh boy.
Survivor bias. You obviously have been very successful, at least based on what you said. But let's imagine we take 100 people who are similar to you in temperament and all, and some fraction of them have the kind of success you did, and the rest did not. And you're there to tell a story, and the others are not. So if I'm some young person considering starting a business, if I only hear your story, I'm going to say, yes, let's go for it. But I don't hear about all those other people. So what can you say on the issue of survivor bias?
It kind of goes to what I said a little bit earlier is, you have to have confidence in what you're doing. You know, I don't know what I'd say to them, quite frankly. You know, is entrepreneurship for you? You know, a lot of this, what I do over there, actually, you know, with Jason, I mean, like, guys, this idea is not a good idea. And is this really something you want to do? Are you really committed to it? And I think there's people that won't get off the bus and go do something else. They don't, you know, I just read a book called Quit. I don't know if anybody's read that. It's a good book. And the basis of the whole thing is quitting is not bad. It's like quitting when you know, when when you do it for the right reason, quitting is not bad. And it kind of talks about the fact that people just stay and stay and stay. And, you know, it gives great examples of companies that Blockbuster, they just stayed and stayed. And, you know, look at the market share that Blockbuster had. It's incredible. Those dudes, I don't know what they were thinking. But it really goes to that. I mean, some people are going to win and some aren't. I mean, not everybody's going to win. And I think that the key is that you know when you're not going to win. You stay focused and say, I got to pivot and go do something else, or I got to pivot my startup or my company into something else. So you're right, there's 100 people in the room, you know, 20% or less are going to be highly successful. Maybe, I don't know what the numbers are, you probably do, but maybe another 10% will be pretty successful, and the other, you know, 60 are going to fail at that. But it's, again, how you define success. That's the whole key for me.
All right, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
So Murray will be here for a few more minutes after this, if you have any more questions for him. And with that, we'll move to announcements and then wrap up. So how announcements work are you have the opportunity to share if there's any upcoming events you want people to know about, other entrepreneurs in the room, or if your company is hiring. So those are two announcements we have. So we'll start with our co-hosts. And so we can start with Hannah to talk about CIC.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. I'm Operations Coordinator at Community Investment Collaborative. I already know a good amount of you, but also see some new faces, so welcome, glad to have you. I have been with CIC about a year and a half. I'm really enjoying being a part of CE2, and to give a little overview of our organization, we're a nonprofit that helps small businesses and entrepreneurs. So we do that through financing, mentoring, and education. One of our main offerings is a 16-week workshop that we hold twice per year. We have 2 graduates in here right now, I think 2, maybe more. We've been doing this for about 11 years now, and that workshop is essentially teaching you everything you need to know about running a business. So it's pretty great, and we are taking applications for our next cohort through July 7th. So we've got a few more weeks there. You can go onto our website and apply there. It's a pretty short, easy application. If you don't want to do it, maybe you know someone who does, so tell them about it. And email if you have any questions. And then we are also hiring for 2 positions right now, a part-time human resources director and also a full-time financial management program coordinator. So this is a program that helps people manage their finances, both personal and business, put together cash flow projections, budgets, break-even analysis, that sort of thing. So this person will be helping to facilitate the growth of that program and its implementation as well. And I think those are our only announcements. We are a lot less busy right now than we were in the spring, which is nice. So I think that's all I've got. But I'm not sure if I remember business cards today because it's not 50-50 whether or not I do. But my email is Hannah, HANNAH @cicbuild.org. You can come over and say hi. I can also write it down for you if you want to reach out. I'll pass it on to Sharon.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm Sharon Goldine. Again, I said something standing over there in the corner earlier. I am the events coordinator with the Central Virginia Small Business Development Center, or CVSBDC. Good luck with that. Like Hannah said, we are way less busy right now, which is really spectacular. So I have a lot fewer things to tell you about than the last few months, which I'm very, very pleased about. But for anyone that doesn't know about SBDC, we are part of a national network, America's SBDCs. And then in the state of Virginia, we have the Virginia SBDC network. There are 27 offices across the state. And SBDC basically offers free advising and services to local small businesses. So our Central Virginia office serves City of Charlottesville and 9 surrounding counties. And we have expert business advisors that you can meet with to talk about anything from startup all the way through exit. We can help with international expansion. The ICAP program, as Tracy mentioned, we have access to a whole host of resources, both in the form of research tools and people, and just a really incredible network that we're part of. So if your small business could use help with pretty much anything, we're a good place to start. And some specific things I want to mention. First of all, we hired with CIC, Terry Woodworth is our new rural ecosystem builder. He wanted to come today, but ended up not being able to make it. So he'll be around our rural counties, which is pretty much everything except for Charlottesville and Albemarle. And he'll also be around Fauquier County. So he's working closely with CIC and our SBDC office, as well as the Laurel Ridge SBDC office, which is up in Northern Virginia, working on connecting with the rural ecosystem. So meeting with entrepreneurs and getting to know what the needs are outside of our little population center here. And so if you see him around, say hi. And we have an upcoming pitch preview, which is a partnership between Virginia SBDC and the Charlottesville Angel Network. It's an opportunity for any founders that are thinking about angel investment to pitch your idea to some angel investors. It's a really incredible chance. It is not a pitch for money. You are not walking out of there with any money, but you will walk out with spectacular advice and suggestions. We have a team of volunteers from CAN that sit in on these pitches and talk to you as though you were pitching to them for funding. And so really great advice comes out of that. We've got at least 1 or 2 people in the room that have done it before. If you have any questions, let me know. So the next pitch preview is on July 6th and applications are due on June 26th. And that is on our website. And we're running our business essentials training right now. If anyone's interested in that, it's 5 weeks that cover a crash course in just about everything about small business. So this is week 2. This is on Wednesdays, 6 to 8 p.m. It's all on our website. Take a look. If you didn't check in when you got here with Hannah and me up at the table, come say hi to us. And if you registered, we'll get you checked in. If you didn't register, please do in the future. It helps us. And someday I will kick someone out for not registering just for fun. Tracy said yes. That is all I have for now. Hi, I'm Amanda Wisnowski. I'm here with the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council, or CBIC. This is my 4th week on the job as Deputy Director, supporting Tracy in her role as Executive Director. And CBIC performs the important and meaningful work of convening and reconvening the tech ecosystem here in Charlottesville through providing educational resources and connecting entrepreneurs to advisors and talent and anything that they may need. So you are all here at a CBIC event right now at Ce2 Entrepreneurs Espresso. This is one of 2 of our monthly events. So this event happens on the 3rd Tuesday of every month. And we also have Tech on Tap 5 to 7 on the 2nd Tuesday of every month. And I will give a little bit of my origin story. So I started recently in this role. I come from a background in web app development and quality assurance, requirements management, and some meeting facilitation, as well as being active in arts councils here locally. And I actually met Tracy at a CBIC event, the Tech Talent on Tap, back in May. So it works, people, it works. I'm up here just to remind you that next month this event is going on, as well as Tech on Tap, Tuesday the 11th, and it's sponsored by Ting, so your first drink is on Ting, and they've got a raffle for the deal gift cards. So definitely come out, mix and mingle, put your name in the ring. And at the mid-August, August 14th, we have our golf tournament. And this is a fundraising event that raises funds to support the tech tour, which exposes middle and high school students to all the tech and innovation opportunities in our area, as well as supporting the CBIC's continued work in ecosystem building. And we have an exciting new event that we are currently planning. It's in the works, so we welcome your ideas. It's going to be part of a series called What's Next in Tech. We're shooting for fall 2023 for this event. And the subject matter for this What's Next in Tech is going to be sustainable housing development. It'll be an expo and a summit on innovation in construction, materials and methods. So if you know any individuals or businesses who could speak or present on a panel or who might want to exhibit, you can email me at deputy@cwinnovation.org.
thank you. Welcome to the team. All right, so now you have the opportunity, and I'll make you use the mic, but, does anybody have any events like the ones you've heard that you'd like to share about, or is your company hiring? Here? Let's see, put just stand up. Okay.
I'm Jeff Estrella, founder of Ce2, solving the K-12 teaching crisis by providing personalized. You can add a sales development representative and an IT/DevOps lead for a founding team. You can start part-time and go full-time. Next 3 to 6 months. Just directly passionate about potential education to shape future generations. Building a startup from the ground up. That was on our website this week, but I want to say hi.
Nice. And former C2 speaker right there as well. So it's good to see the growth, for sure, yeah. Anybody else? Okay, I am a recruiter by profession, so I'll throw just 2 out today. I'm looking for, it's actually for UVA Medical Center, which is not my typical client, but a small department there, a digital marketing strategist. This is a temp contract role for about 18 weeks, let's say, but it could transition into a full-time role. So looking for like email campaigns and SEM experience for that. And then also looking for C# developers, 2 to 10 years of experience for a local, really awesome tech company. Great benefits, it's a great company. So with that, we are completed for today. We will be back here the 3rd Tuesday of July. And just a little note, a couple things for this event. I am working on lining up speakers for the rest of the year, and I'm pretty good for September through February. And so if you have any crash and learn speaker ideas for July or August, let me know. So if there's somebody, an entrepreneur, a seasoned entrepreneur you'd like to hear from, let me know. And then also early stage companies, I haven't really worked on that yet. So the girls back there will help me identify some early stage speakers, but if you have ideas there, welcome them. And then also if you're interested in helping volunteer for this event as well, there's different things that I could partner with you on to just help get the word out, honestly. I think more on the kind of marketing side, if you will. I'm happy to get some help there. So we usually have around 30 to 40 people, and a lot of times there's a lot of brand new faces, which I love seeing, but I think just having that consistent coming back. Last thing I'll say is I wanted to thank our hosts, our sponsors rather, the Back Institute, EVA, Watermark Design, and of course, Code-Based Co-working. So I wanted to thank Rob Archer and his team for the use of this space, but I also want to ask you to always enter these doors back here. Don't enter there. So we'll try to get solid signage, but you just walk on back to the building and definitely enter these doors, because then you don't have to go through the check-in desk, and it's just complicated. So appreciate you guys, and look forward to seeing you back here now.
Thank you.